So I will hand over to Alejandro to get started on the trade mission logistics and details.
Good morning. Thank you, Sam, for the introduction and for helping us coordinate this pre-departure webinar. Welcome, everyone. Well, today we're gonna be talking about some of the trade mission logistics. We have 19 registered companies going with us. We're hoping to have a 20th soon. We have companies from all different sectors. So we have companies from the life sciences, telecommunications, clean tech, aviation, and construction. So it's a very diverse group of companies. So we're very excited to have them come with us to Colombia. We also have two great sponsors, Bank United, who was also a sponsor for our trade mission in Santo Domingo last year, and Holland and Knight. They will be co-hosting the reception at the ambassador's residence. So that's gonna be very exciting. The trade mission is gonna be led by Manny Mencia, our Senior Vice President of International Development and Trade. Something for you to keep in mind, we've heard there's a lot of interest on behalf of the Lieutenant Governor Janet Nunez to lead this mission. So we will keep you posted on that, but that's very exciting news. So let's cross our fingers and hopefully she will be able to join us in November. Next slide, please. Okay, so the official flight. The official flight is in American Airlines. It will be the flight that departs at 10:40 a.m. from Miami Airport. The reason why we chose this flight and not an earlier one is to allow other company representatives coming from different parts of the state. We're having companies coming from all the way from Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Largo, and and also from Broward to join this trade mission. So we chose this flight to allow them to come and join us as well. We are departing on the 21st, also at around 3:35 in the afternoon. So that will also give you some time to make one final visit or meeting in case you need to. So that's why we also chose those two flights. Please keep in mind that if you are part of this official flight, transportation from the airport and then to the hotel and hotel back to the airport will be provided by Enterprise Florida. If you cannot join this flights, you will have to then arrange your transportation on your own. You can contact the hotel directly and request for transportation, or you can take a taxi from the airport, which are the airport taxis are pretty safe. Next slide, please. Okay, so the schedule. I'm just gonna go over the schedule very quickly. The first day, so we arrived in Bogota in the afternoon, and we anticipate that we will be at the JW Marriott, which is the event venue, around 2:30. Please keep in mind traffic, it's quite heavy in Bogota, so we're gonna be trying to be on schedule as much as possible. So we will also need that all of you are also on time for all the events as much as possible. The welcome reception will take place at the JW Marriott, so that shouldn't be a problem. It's going to be from 6 to 8. It's a casual gathering, and the idea of this meeting is of this reception is for you to meet the rest of the companies that are coming as part of the delegation, and for you to meet the U.S. Commercial Service staff in Bogota, go over the agenda, your meetings, ask any questions you may have, so you're ready and all set for your one-on-one meetings that will start on the 19th. So the 19th, we start with the breakfast briefing. This will also take place at the JW Marriott. We will provide you with all the rooms, the conference room information. Once we have the ebook ready, and we will send that to you. The breakfast will include different U.S. Embassy officials. So you will have the officials from the commercial section, from the consular section, the political section, the economic section, giving you more detailed information as to how to make business in Colombia. Once we finish with this briefing, we will proceed with the one-on-one meetings that will also take place at the JW Marriott. So we're trying to have everything take place in this one venue, so you are more comfortable, number one, and number two, you have more time to have more meetings. So the format of the meetings, or of the one-on-one meetings, will be kind of like a speed dating format, where we will have the local companies, the Colombian companies, come to you. We estimate that each meeting will take about 40 to 45 minutes. So you will have back-to-back meetings during all day the 19th. So from around 8 to 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. and then half day on the 20th. A midterm report, which is before I forget, it's the agenda, it's the schedule of your meetings that will be provided by the U.S. Commercial Service a couple of days before we depart, or the day before at the welcome reception. Next slide, please, Sam. Okay, so day 3, well, I already mentioned this before. We will have one-on-one meetings up until noon. You will have the afternoon free for have any additional meetings or follow-ups. This is a time that you can manage as you see fit, and all day of the 20th, as well as all day of the 19th, delegates the delegates that don't have the gold key meetings, the one-on-one meetings, are supposed to arrange their own meetings and agendas. And then on day 4, which is November 21st, we return to Miami at 3:35. So you have also the morning available for any errands or follow-up meetings if you need to. Next slide. Okay, here are the contact information for Express Travel. In case you want to learn more about the official travel, Chessie Stanfield will be happy to help you to book that flight. We have a special rate of $409 or $405 round trip. We have only a few seats available with that under that fare, that price. So if you're interested, I suggest you contact her as soon as possible. For the hotel, we have the first poll, so I appreciate if you can answer that. Uh, Please let us know if you're staying at the JW or not. If you're not staying at the JW Marriott, that's not a problem, but please keep in mind that you are responsible for your own transportation from wherever you're staying to the JW Marriott to be on time, please, to be on time for the breakfast and for the one-on-one meetings. And you also have to arrive be at the JW Marriott for joining the bus that will take us to the ambassador's reception. Oh, I apologize, I did not mention that the ambassador reception will take place on the 19th, right after we finish our matchmaking meetings. So we will leave the hotel around 5:30, and to have this reception, which will be from 6:30 till 8:30 in the evening, and then we will take you back to the hotel. The other option of the poll is to let us know if you have already done your reservation directly with the JW Marriott, contacting Mylene Perez, who's our point of contact there, or if you want us, if you want for Enterprise Florida to make the reservation for you, we can do this without a problem. You just have to give us your credit card information. But please respond to this poll as soon as possible, so we know how to proceed and to avoid any duplicate reservations or any confusions. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Alejandro. I'm going to cut in just before we continue now. Just actually, the questions that Alejandro's putting out there are going to be in the survey at the end of this webinar. So really fill out the survey so that Enterprise Florida knows exactly who's doing what, when, and they can coordinate better. But in the meantime, before we continue, we wanted to launch a quick poll for all of you, just to ask you and just to sort of set the scenes. What are the main objectives for you when you're looking at international markets? What are your main objectives for going on trade missions? Do you want to understand the markets better? In-market partner searches, lead generation, setting up a subsidiary? Would be really appreciated if you could fill out this poll now. Just respond to that poll, and we can give you some feedback. These are kind of polls really help us also, to make sure that we're on track and help anyone in export assistance. I give you a little bit of feedback. The vast majority of you are going on trade missions looking at in-market partners. Some of you are also looking at lead generation and market understanding, and the vast majority is all about in-market partner searches. Thank you very much for filling out that first poll. Now I'm going to close the poll, and let's move on to a quick snapshot of Colombia. Excellent. Thank you, Susanna, and thank you, Alejandro, for that detail on the logistics. So the people who are already signed up and going on this Colombia trade mission are more than aware of how wonderful Colombia is as a country. But we're just going to take a quick look at Colombia by the numbers. So if we go to the next slide. What's important to take away from this slide is Colombia, one, is large. It's the fourth largest economy in Latin America. It has, instead of having one or two major cities within the country, like the majority of countries, Colombia is unique because it has 5 commercial hubs. So Bogotá, Medellín, Cali, Barranquilla, and Cartagena. And it also has a ton of airports and seaports. So all of these things are really good news for people who are trying to export into Colombia, because it's just such a large economy, such a bustling economy, and there's so many ways that you can export your goods into the country. So looking at the next slide, the relationship between Florida and Colombia is a pretty strong one. Colombia is second in Florida merchandise exports by country last year, and they're in the top 10 in the rest of the categories. So the relationship between the state and the country is very strong, and we're obviously always looking to make it even stronger. So this is a great step to kind of solidifying that relationship. And then going into the third section, which is
Hold on,
all
Samantha.
about.
Samantha, before you just get on to that third section, I'm going to launch a quick little poll too. Another one.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good. We wanted to find out how many of you are already exporting to Colombia, but also to other nearby markets. Are you already exporting in the Caribbean, Central America, South America, other markets, or are you just on that sort of tipping edge of starting to look at which markets you should export to, and that's why you're going to the Colombia trade mission? I can tell you that a really strong, many of you are applying now. Wow, it's really interesting. Like half of you are already active in the Caribbean. And then it divides quite evenly throughout Central America, South America, and other markets. Very, very interesting. I mean, the strong close from that as well is the strength of the Caribbean markets on that. Good to know, and that will help us reflect trade in the future. Thank you. Right, now let's move on to section 3. Samantha.
Thanks, Susanna. So now we're going to look at how you can grow your business online in Colombia. So you're already taking care of the piece of going to the country and establishing those relationships and getting to know the country a little bit better, getting to interact with the people within the country. But there's this very vital piece, which is the digital piece, and that's what we're going to take a look at now. So before we focus in on Colombia, it's important to know that the world is online. We are literally on a online webinar talking from all different points within Florida, and in Susanna's case, she's all the way in the UK. So it's really important, and it's important to note that it's growing. So if we take a look at the next slide, we can take a look at the annual growth, and more than 350 million people went online between April 2018 and April 2019. That's a percentage growth of 8.6%. And it's just going to continue to grow. And not only are internet users going up, but everything from social media users is going up too. And that's active social media users, meaning people who go on, if not every day, every week. It's not, the grandma that has a Facebook profile that only goes on once a month. And also mobile social media users. And this trend is not any different from what's going on in Colombia. So if we look at the next slide, we can take a look at the Colombia numbers. And so looking at the penetration, 68% of people in Colombia are using the internet, and looking at these numbers, 100% of those that are using the internet are also active social media users. Colombia is a super social place. We'll take a look at the numbers in a second, but these are really important numbers to know, because these are people that you can communicate with when you're not within the country. There are people that you can communicate using Facebook, using YouTube, using WhatsApp, because they are constantly connected, constantly online. So taking a look at the next slide, these trends are growing. And so just like looking at the worldwide scope, Colombia is also growing by impressive numbers. So 9.7% growth in the amount of internet users that came onto the internet from January 2018 to January 2019. That's a total of 3 million people. And the same thing goes for active social media users. So it's that people are online, and it's growing, and it's going to continue to grow. Now, looking at the next slide, this is really important to know too. So 100% of people who were surveyed either visited or used a social media network or messaging service within the past month. Colombia is actually fourth in the world in the amount of time spent on the internet. That is insane. They spend about 9 hours per day on some sort of internet device. They're right behind, it goes Philippines, Brazil, Thailand, and then Colombia. And they are actually third in the world in the amount of time spent on social media, right behind the Philippines and Brazil, with an average of about 3 hours and 30 minutes per day on social media networks, and that includes WhatsApp, and WhatsApp is huge in Colombia. There are about 32 million people on Facebook, so almost 100% of the people who are on social media, or more than 100% of people who are on social media, are also using Facebook. And it grew the most in 2018, but or it's not the one that grew the most in 2018. That was actually Instagram. Instagram is going up in numbers by about 9% per year in Colombia. So that's a great site to kind of look at as an up and coming social media site other than YouTube and Facebook and WhatsApp. So another thing to keep in mind is the .co domain name. So .co is actually the Colombian domain name, and it's unrestricted. A lot of people think it means like a short version of .com, like for .company, but it's actually it's the country level domain name for Colombia. And it's the google.com.co is actually the third most visited site in the Colombian market. So, and then just taking a quick look at developing e-commerce market, there was a poll that goes out by Hootsuite, and it showed that 87% of people search for a product or service to buy online before actually purchasing it, and 86% visited an online retail store on the web. So a lot of people are not only going on the web for social media or for work, but they're also searching for e-commerce and doing some research before purchasing products, either online or in person. So Colombia is, no, that was great, Susanna, thank you. If you could switch to the next slide. Colombia is a bustling market, definitely to look at in the online lens. And the way to do that is through website localization. So the way that website localization works is that it's not just a straight on translation from English to Spanish and just pop it on your site. There's a lot of things that go on in the background that are very important in order for your websites to be found, to be understood, and to be easier to do business with online for the Colombian market, or for any market in that case that you're trying to do business with. And this is just a little list of the things that to take into consideration when localizing your website. And the reason that you need to do this is because of search engines. So if we go to the next slide, we'll take a quick look at how search engines work. So as I mentioned a few minutes earlier, google.com.co, which is the Google specifically for Colombia, is the third most visited site within the country. This is because search engines are completely localized and people search in the language that they're most comfortable with. So if your website is in English and someone in Colombia is searching for a product in Spanish within Colombia, it's very almost impossible for them to actually find your website unless they know your company name. Google is very impressive. It actually has 192 country and region specific search engines, and it is the most widely used search engine in Latin America and also in Colombia. So just taking a quick look at an example of how localized search engines are, I did a quick search for red shoes here in Florida, and my colleague did a search for red shoes in London in the United Kingdom. And even though we were both on a Google search engine, we were both using the same exact keywords, so red shoes in both cases, we got completely different results. So I got things like Macy's and Zappos and Nordstrom, things that are very relevant to where I am located, and the search engine knows that. And Susanna got something completely different in places that I have no idea about, like Debenhams and House of Fraser. So this is a very simplified example, especially because we're using the same language. But can you imagine if your website is in English and someone is searching for you in Spanish? There would be no way for them to find you. So the next two slides are just two examples of Florida companies that learned this and took advantage of the resources that we're going to go over in a second, and localized their websites for their top markets. So Ocean Optics, they went online global in Mexico and Brazil, and they're a huge company, very worldwide, and they found that they didn't have as much business as they would have liked in Mexico and Brazil. So they created these localized websites, or we created the localized websites for them, so that they can actually be found and understood in these specific markets, so that they can grow their sales and their exports in Mexico and Brazil. So that's one way that you can kind of use localization, is to grow your business in places that you're not growing as much as you want to be. Then the next slide is Avionics Support Group. So they've done the Florida Online Global program with us a few times. They have websites now in, we redesigned their US website. They have websites in China, Mexico, Japan, Brazil, the UAE, Russia, and we're actually building one for them in France, in French. As we speak. And for them, it was that their products were just very technical, and even though they don't get a lot of sales directly through their website, that's just not the way that they do business. They needed a website localization so that people can actually understand what their products do, and to help their distributors and their salespeople sell the products to the airlines that they're trying to do business with. So they actually got a really quick return on investment. They got a $500,000 airline deal with a Chinese airline because of having these localized websites. So then the next piece is a helping hand for Florida exporters. And I promise you won't have to hear my voice for much longer, but
Samantha, before we do that, can I launch a new poll again? Can I launch the last poll?
Please do.
Here we go. I'm going to launch a last poll, which is just to ask you Florida exporters, Florida companies, do you already have localized websites for your export markets? You know, do you have these very functioning websites across your export markets? Just give you some feedback. The majority are saying no. We have websites for our home market, and that's about it. Very, very, very few of you have for all export markets, but there's a couple of you who indeed have some websites for a few of your export markets. We would applaud you for that. So, good. Think global. Go for it. I'm going to close that. That's our last poll, and then hand back to Samantha as we go into the last part of this webinar, a helping hand for Florida exporters.
Excellent. Thanks, Susanna. Yeah, so now I'm just going to cover real quick the Florida Online Global program, just to start with the many resources and many grants available from Enterprise Florida. This is one of them, covering the website localization piece that I was just talking about. So if we go to the next slide. This is just a little bit about IDT Online. We've been in business since 2002, and we've helped over 400 companies. We work with 18 different states, Florida being my personal favorite. And this is a very well-trodden road. We've delivered over 1,000 online global programs. So just to go to the next slide, we have a dedicated Florida page for you guys to learn more about the program. If you have any questions, that's a great place to start. And to go on to the next slide, this is why we have the Online Global program. This is why we created this with Enterprise Florida. We want to help companies like you guys be found, be understood, and be easier to do business with. And all of this in conjunction with going to trade missions, going to trade shows. This is just another tool to help you do business in these international markets. So it can help you reach new markets, generate leads, grow your sales, do B2B distributor recruitment, B2C sort of business. So depending on what your goals are, you can use this program to kind of tip and tailor the websites accordingly. So just a quick look at the actual program. So option A would give you 2 business development websites in your top 2 target markets. So for those of you who are interested in the Latin American region, you can have one in Spanish for Colombia, and then another website in Portuguese for the Brazilian market. So you cover a pretty good majority of Central and South America with those 2 websites. And we will deliver these 2 websites with limited scope, so 12 web pages, 2,000 words of localized content, and everything that's going on in the background. So it'll be hosted locally, it'll be secure, it will be on a local domain name. We include geolocation. So all of these best practices for website localization would be included in the scope of work. And what's super nice and what we're super thankful for from Enterprise Florida is that this program is $12,000. But if you are a company that qualifies for their grants, you will receive, or there will be an $8,000 grant towards the service. So the company only has to pay $4,000, which is a very generous grant from Enterprise Florida, which we're very thankful for. And then looking at option B is just any scope of work that's above and beyond the scope of work of option A. So if you want more websites or larger websites, whatever the case may be, we will create a customized proposal for you. And regardless of the cost, if you qualify for the Enterprise Florida grants, there is that $8,000 that will be deducted from the final budget because of the grant from Enterprise Florida. Then looking at this last piece, something else that we offer that is not included in the Florida Online Global program, but definitely is important to keep in mind, especially for a market like Colombia or Latin America in general, is that we do offer international online marketing once the websites are live. So that includes monthly ongoing search engine optimization, social media marketing, content management, editing and support, and reporting and analytics. And I would be happy to talk about the programs, the online environment, anything that you guys wish. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Dane, who will cover the FEFC.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Danny. I'm from Florida Export Finance Corporation. I'm going to be talking today a little bit about our finance programs offered by the state of Florida. I have actually here with me our credit manager, just in case we have any credit questions at the end of the presentation. But let's dive right in, okay? So the Florida Export Finance Corporation is a not-for-profit corporation created and funded by the state of Florida in 1993. Our legislative mandate is to increase job opportunities and income for residents of Florida by providing financial, technical, and consulting assistance to small and medium-sized Florida companies in support of their export sales. So how does our program technically work? We issue a guarantee for 90% of our capital working loan made by a lender in our network. We have a huge network of lenders that we verify to make sure that they are open to working with our program. And they will take up to a maximum of $500,000 of a guarantee amount and offer our exporters a line of credit. Our exporters can use this line of credit to fund their purchase orders, and if they are in need of additional working capital for other things such as overhead and inventory, we can also try to find them a lender for that. However, it will not be covered under our guarantee. So how do you apply and qualify for our program? In order to qualify for our program, you must be a registered business in Florida. You must have less than 250 employees, less than $6 million of net worth, and have a specific verified foreign order from a foreign buyer in another country. The goods and services must be shipped from Florida, and our maximum guarantee is $500,000. We do go as low as $100,000. We also work with the SBA and Exim Bank. If you don't qualify for our program just because maybe you're too large for us, we will take you to SBA or Exim Bank to see if you qualify for their programs as well. SBA has an export loan program that's similar to ours, except they offer higher loan guarantee amounts for Florida exporters and any other exporter in the United States, except we work specifically with Florida exporters. We are not limited to any specific products except for weaponry, ammunition, and firearms. We do not work with those. Just because we have a MOU with the Exim Bank and we are a rep with them, they don't insure any of those types of products. And we do have a large portfolio of clients that work in the aviation industry, construction, agriculture, auto parts. So we can pretty much do anything except for weaponry, ammunition, and firearms. Next slide, please. So some of the important things. This loan will be revolving. We will guarantee a revolving loan for up to 1 year. Your loan guarantee is renewable for up to 5 years. And in order to work with our program, you must obtain an export credit insurance or be working with some sort of letter of credit, just because we would want to make sure that you're insuring your post shipment. For whatever reason, if once your product ships Florida and there's some sort of political turmoil or foreign buyer default or inconvertibility of currency, your post shipment receivables are covered. That way you're covered on the pre-shipment with us and the post shipment with Exim Bank or any other private insurance if your product doesn't meet a 50% US content. We work very closely with Enterprise Florida, Exim Bank, SBA, and any other local agency here in the state of Florida. So if our loan guarantee program is not something that you qualify for, we can try to find you other avenues to help you with your export finance needs. I really hope this trade mission goes well for you guys. And if you have any other additional questions, you can email me or call us at Florida Export, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you, everybody.
Samantha, do you want to just take it from here? Perhaps, or someone from Florida, Enterprise Florida?
Yeah, this is for Joseph Bell.
Fantastic, Joseph.
That would be me. Is everybody hearing me loud and clear?
Absolutely. Thank you, Joseph.
Okay, well, thanks very much, and thanks, Samantha, for giving me the opportunity. Of course, Enterprise Florida, we are organizing a trade mission to Ghana in February of 2020. And the purpose is to seek and to identify new export opportunities in the West African region, where there is a strong economic growth in several countries there, and there is a strong demand for US imported products. The focus on the trade mission is for individual B2B meetings with channel partners that would include distributors, customers, and other potential business partners that the Florida company is seeking to identify. So what would be the benefit for participating in this trade mission? Again, as I said, meeting with potential business partners that you may not be aware of, that identifying or looking for American-made products, growing your international network of distribution in the region, in Ghana and the surrounding countries as well. That gives you a better idea of market opportunities in West Africa, given Ghana's strategic location, ability to partner with current distributors that are already covering markets in Ivory Coast, Benin, Burkina Faso, Togo, Mali, and of course, Nigeria. Because of the political stability in Ghana, a lot of those distributors tend to come and source products from distributors in Ghana. So if you have the ability to identify one in Ghana, then that gives you more leverage in those regions as well. Of course, raising your profile there. There, as you could see, the best export opportunities on the slide there, we're not limited to that, and so I'm asking all companies to submit their application so that we can review, and then we could come back to you and let you know whether there are opportunities in that market. Of course, we'll be working with the U.S. Commercial Service to clear that or to satisfy that requirement. But again, all companies are required to submit your application as well, and there is the deadline on there. For Florida companies that are exporting and they meet the 51% requirement, they would be eligible to receive a Gold Key grant to cover the Gold Key services, which is the setting up or facilitating of the B2B meetings, and that's for $1,300. The other companies, you meet the US commercial, the US 51% content, then of course you would still benefit from the service, but it's just that you would be paying for that Gold Key. You would not be receiving the Gold Key grant. So if you're interested in that event, feel free to send me an email and I could provide more information on this. Again, thanks for participating on the trade mission to Colombia. We look forward to you participating on the one to Ghana as well. Thanks. That's it for me.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Absolutely, Chris. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Well, just to follow up on the mission to Colombia as well as the mission to Ghana, we also will be having one later on next year in April, and that will be an export sales mission to Lima, Peru. As you can see, the dates there are from April 27th through the 30th, and it will be very similar to what will be going on in Colombia. There will be 2 days of Gold Keys, a day and a half to be exact. We have the two options, the Gold Key package as well as the delegate package. And you can see there that the deadline will be February 21st. Now the sectors that Peru will be concentrating on will be the list of sectors there, such as construction equipment, mining, medical equipment, so on and so forth. Peru has actually been a very stable economy for some time now. They are one of the fastest growing economies in Latin America, which have been growing at a rate of 5.3% between 2005 and 2018. I think it would be a good opportunity for the companies that are attending the Ghana as well as the Colombia mission, consider Peru as an opportunity to export and to have business involvement with. This South American country is the 13th largest two-way trader between Florida. So if there are any interest to the mission to Peru going on next year, feel free to reach out to me. My email and phone number are listed there. And to follow up with this, next slide, please. To follow up with the mission to Peru, we will also be having a doing business in Peru roadshow that will be going on throughout the state in the next couple weeks. We will be making stops, as you can see there, in Miami, Miramar, Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville. And during the roadshow, you'll just be hearing a little bit more about the economic, political, social environment of the country, as well as the best export opportunities for Florida companies, and how you can benefit on this mission by using the Gold Key grant if you qualify, such as the qualifications which Joseph mentioned before, and I'm sure you heard of prior with Alejandra. So if there are any interest, feel free to reach out to me again. My email is listed on there as well as my phone number. And if you are not able to get in touch with me, feel free to reach out to Alejandra or Joseph, as they will be part of this trade show. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for a fantastic webinar. Thank you, Alejandra, Samantha. Well, Daisy wasn't able to be with us, but Danny and Camille and we don't even have Joe on this slide, but or Chris. But please get in touch if you have any questions. with any of these contacts or your local Enterprise Florida contact that you have. We're hoping that you have all a fantastic trade mission to Colombia. And please, can I remind you, please, please, please fill out the very brief survey that's going to pop up on your screen when I close out this webinar. So that Enterprise Florida has all the data on you with regards hotels and flights and all of that, so that they can arrange perfect and seamless transport once you're in Bogota and across Colombia. Just remains to thank Enterprise Florida again for all their help in helping Florida companies really go internationally and really go global. And thank you, Samantha, for putting this together. Happy exporting, all of you, and have a great trade mission to Colombia. Thank you. Bye-bye.